Okay, I think we're recording. Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
What's up, everybody?
My name is Celina Cordova L, and this is my lovely husband, Aseer, the Duke of Tears. I just wanted to welcome everybody back to another meditation
Indeed,
called Truth Be Told. It was wonderful. I'm really thankful that I bit the bullet and basically confronted certain inner fears and did what I've always wanted to do, which is kind of speak my opinion in my mind. And I did introduce Aseer last time. He doesn't really need introduction. He's the one that most people do know and most people are familiar with listening to. And that's, I think, kind of what I wanted to even start this meditation off for today's discussion about. When you're in a relationship and you are with a significant other, what that means to the rest of the world, how that translates, and certain quote-unquote pressures that you begin to feel in an actual relationship. I.e., I've been with him for like 14, 15 years now. It's going on 15 years.
Thank God.
And what I would like to say is that different people, based on who we meet, have different opinions about who we are and form opinions about who we are based on how we interact with each other and the other things that we do. It can suck because when you're a woman like myself, you have feelings and emotions and you think about things and how you're affecting the world, and it plays a huge role. It can play a huge role in your relationship. So for Aseer, for example, he hosts a radio show, and because he's great at what he does, meaning disseminate information to the people historically and current event wise, I kind of fall back on the radio because it takes two phones in the house. It can seem as though we might be confrontational or argumentative because you can't see our actual faces.
Exactly.
And it's
true.
like, why have two people on when he does great at what he does? So when we started thinking about this show, he's like, based on who you are, I kind of want you to be able to do what you enjoy doing and take control of what it is you are doing. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can actually talk. Now, what that means to different people is crazy. If Aseer is talking and he's doing great at something, that means I am in the shadows. I have no voice. I have no opinion, and I'm kind of like the muse on the side. When in actuality, I just sometimes feel that it's okay for him to speak his mind about things. And the same goes for me. I've met many people that have heard me speak and that have heard me, have an opinion, and then it gets translated as, well, his woman speaks for him. He has no opinion of his own. She's a dominant personality. And,
I'm under mind control.
Right, he's under mind control. So I find that to be very interesting, just the first tidbit. And yes, this is a show for me where I've given myself certain permissions and certain freedom to talk and to be as expressive as I want to be. So that might kind of come off a little weird to people, like, I'm scattered, and that's okay. I'm all right with people having a translation on what it is they see or they think that I'm doing. That's okay. That's exactly why I decided to bite the bullet and just speak my mind, because I never will, based on what I can sense people thinking or feeling or whatever. And one of the main questions from the last show that was asked was, you never answered your question about the threesomes and about the other things people ask you. I have never been in a threesome. I have never been with a woman. I've never been in a sexual situation where I'm sharing a seer. Or when I wasn't with him, I wasn't in that. He is a different individual and has gone through an experience like that. If you've listened to him speak, you've heard about it. For me, no, I've never kissed a girl. I've never been with a woman. I've actually noticed that I've lost friendships, and I'm not even looking at what I'm holding. I'm just holding something. I've lost friendships based on me communicating about energy that I see. And I've had a couple of friends, my God, a couple of girlfriends that, would entertain the idea of being with a seer with me there, but when they were, okay, perfect example. This is the month. Perfect example. I had a girlfriend. Whenever she was dating a guy, that's when she decided to kiss Aseer on the mouth hello, or to be really like, really, what's the word? Like
Flirty.
Flirty is when she was with another man, when she was dating somebody. But when it was just us, like if we were to link up or say what's up to each other, she would be like nothing to kiss or hug or say. And I found that interesting. I was like, wow, you often like kissing and touching and hugging him. Let me sit on you. When you're with somebody, which translates to me as like you want the guy to feel a little jealous or feel a certain way, especially if they don't know what our relationship is like. You know, I'm the type of girl that if we're hanging out, I hate to be a third wheel. So I've made it very clear, like whoever's around me is not a third wheel at all. We're all entertaining and enjoying each other's company. And I had great girlfriends in New York. They all faded because of situations like this or people thinking. They faded specifically when I confronted the looming energy. Like let's say we hung out for like 4 years, and like the third and the fourth year I can tell like when we all go out, they're more apt to sit on your lap, or at Thanksgiving dinners. Perfect example, we were at a dinner and one of my girlfriends, her niece, who was like 8 years old at the time, was like, oh my God, I love you and your boyfriend. You and your boyfriend are great. You and your boyfriend. And I'm sitting right next to him like, you and your boyfriend. She actually thinks that you guys are together because of your body language, because of how you are with him. And I'm okay with it because I know there's nothing going on. And I also know that if you're a heterosexual man and you're smart and you're somewhat good looking, you don't even have to be good looking. Just intelligent and aren't necessarily like sloppy, meaning like aren't always throwing out the possibility of fucking a chick.
Right.
That's when they're most attracted to a guy. Like, oh my God, he's great. Like, they don't even necessarily have to be with the person, but the fact that they're there is entertaining enough. The same thing, if you do know me, I'm not like on Aseer, and that's been a problem for some people in the sense that we've even become allergic to touching one another based on the energy. Oh, we noticed in like public venues, we're very apt to like not kiss and hug in public because it's like things freeze, it just stops. And I'm not really trying to put my relationship on blast or showcase my intimacy outside. I'm not really.
You're not trying to stun off on nobody, but at the same time, we realize that when you inhibit your natural inclination for the sake of a societal expectation of you wind up undercutting your own relationship, and then you wind up resenting the person that you're in the relationship with, because everybody wants to feel like the person they with will fight for them. So if you're with somebody, maybe the fighting for them is too strong. What I mean is, everybody wants to feel passionate for the person that they're with. So if you don't feel passion for the person that you're with, or you're inhibiting that passion because you don't want to make other people feel that what they have is less passionate, then you are living your life for somebody else, and your relationship for other people. That's just as bad as showing off.
And that's kind of what I realized, especially, you know, when we lived in New York was happening. And it kind of was upsetting for me because I can be a very sensual, touchy-feeling person with him. And based on the work he does and based on the energy he's around, I just stopped requesting, feeling like I could touch him like that or hug him in that type of way outside.
That's right.
And it built up a lot over the years. And also just people, you know, their opinion of what we do in terms of him. You know, when I attracted him and when I got with him, I was always very amazed at the fact that he had such dreams that he wanted to accomplish. You know, writing a book, being able to be self-sustaining with not necessarily teaching in a school. Small things that I felt like if he had gotten certain support in, he would have been able to go a lot quicker, a lot farther, a lot quicker. And so my whole purpose in attracting and being with him, I kind of felt blessed to help him accomplish and get to those goals. And in him accomplishing those goals, I knew that his personality wouldn't necessarily leave me in the wind or make me feel alienated from the experience. But romantically, I started to feel like he couldn't necessarily be himself with me outside based on what other people saw him as and for and all that other stuff. So, it's just to say be careful that, you don't keep that volume so turned down that you're not willing to talk to each other about what you see happening.
That's right.
And for me as well, like, I'm just thankful that I'm here today and I'm healthy and we made it this far without having a lot of support. Because it's not easy. I didn't think that being in a relationship where I wasn't showing off in front of my girlfriends all the time how happy I was and what was going on intimately in our bedroom, I thought that would preserve my friendships and would preserve my relationships. But it did somewhat the opposite. It almost made people feel like I was keeping secrets or keeping them out of things or like, and that wasn't it at all. It was more like, no, I realized 5 years into our relationship that you're attracted to him. So because I'm going to ask you, hey, I noticed you're somewhat attracted to him. Once you like address the elephant in the middle of the room, sometimes one of two things happens. People either run or they confront the elephant. And for me, a lot of females were like, oh my God, oh no, I would never, and that's my brother, and I would never do anything. It's like,
whatever.
Exactly. But if there's a glass of wine in you and we're outside and you're lounging on his lap and you're, kissing on him, I'm like, hey, in 10 years, if you're single and you want a kid, I may be open to the idea. And that was even far-fetched. Like, I remember at times with his baby moms, I would tell him, like, yo, if you just have sex with your baby moms, you'll be able to see your kids.
She did. That's how dope she is. And I was like, nah.
And some men might just hear that as, I don't want to be with you.
Nah.
I don't value your presence in my life. And that was the exact opposite.
I looked at it as just the opposite.
I was like, yo.
I was like, wow, you so dope. Nah. Even if I wasn't with you, that was definitely not happening.
But that was the energy that I saw. Like, you're being punished for not doing what it is they're used to you doing with them, or with her, or with whomever. And I didn't have his sexual experience. I chose to be with him at 21, and I've been with him ever since. And I've talked to him about things in terms of how I felt. Like, I didn't know after a kid and after breastfeeding I might dream about sleeping with another man. And that was huge. I felt like I committed the act. I was punishing myself for a while. This happened out here in Miami. Like, after breastfeeding, I started thinking and dreaming about being with somebody else. And, we had this talk when I first got with him. It was like, I'm 21, I haven't been with anybody. I want to choose to be with my partner. So I can't necessarily control you because you have different sexual experiences, but, you just don't become a virgin at 21. It's a conscious choice. And for me, I didn't want to lie about what I hadn't experienced. But I also, in being out there, I also realized, like, in telling men this, or like talking about your history is also a huge thing. Some men, it's kryptonite. It's like, oh my God, I don't even want anything to do with you. And some men were like, oh really? Right away. So, you gauge what you're willing to talk about and disclose in the beginning of a relationship. And for a while we were talking and it wasn't an issue. It wasn't a point of interest like that. So that's kind of what turned my ears up and my scope on. But when we did decide to be together, that's when all the vagina came to him. It was like whatever flood that did exist or whatever rejections, because certain men that are, certain men know.
Some people don't want you until somebody else wants you. You ever know some people, when they have something in their closet you like or they're not using, you ask to borrow it and then all of a sudden they want it? That's how it is with people, People are very, very
fickle.
Very good, baby.
But I didn't, I never thought of it like that. I almost thought of it like, well, if I'm in college and I have a boyfriend in high school and college, let me do the responsible thing and say, I want you to experience being with other women, because if I'm not giving that to you, I don't want you to resent me for things that you're not doing because you're in a relationship with me. And that translated to the Virgo as
you don't want to be
I don't want to be with you, I'm not into you.
I'm not into you.
And I'm not like, caught up. But I always felt like, wow, if I'm young, how do you preserve something that you love? You allow it to breathe, so that when you get to entertain it, it's not so dried out by being with you. So that's kind of what I did in my early, teens and my early 20s. And then, I met him and it was great, but we talked about it, and I did say, like, what happens if I want to experience being with someone else? Is this something that I've learned that it's very different for a woman than it is for a man. And speaking to him, he's like, it's totally different. And that's hard. That's a hard pill for me to swallow. And it has been very difficult because...
It's hard even as a man. Even as a man, because
Why?
Because when you as a man
Actually say, okay, I'm going to, this is my girl, or this is my woman, or this is...
Speak up a little, I don't know.
If this is my wife, or my so-called woman, or mate, or whatever, the natural instinct of man is to preserve that from everybody else. That's the purpose that we go through the human ritual of uniting and choosing to be quote-unquote monogamous. She was the first woman in my life that ever actually said, well, are you monogamous? Is that something that you want to do? And it bugged me out, because in my whole life, no woman, including my mother, ever even talked to me about anything like that.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy in itself. But as a man, sometimes you don't.
Quackilioso.
But see, as a man, this is why the Creator, in all its wisdom, made man and women the way that they are. Because there's certain things as a man you will just not really peep until she bring it to your attention. Then as a man, it becomes, what do? Do you either become grateful for that information and then strive to internalize it or externalize it, whatever, and then use it to become better? Or do you totally displace it and be like, oh, that's all you. Oh, something wrong with you. She never did that. Go ahead.
And perfect example, like sidebar, perfect example. When a man is seen with another woman, like me, him, and another woman, it's like we all have to be doing something. We all have to be involved.
That's not always true.
Not only is that not always true, but I do get the general assessment. I get it. When you're older, you don't hang out with people unless you're sexually involved with them. This is what I've learned of late. When you're over 25, I guess. And that's been hard, because there's certain people that I genuinely love, like that I genuinely, of the male species, like my uncle, his brothers. I love his brothers. But if I just were to hang out with one of them without Aseer, it'll be perceived that I'm doing something with them.
Based upon what people want to see, based upon the fact that if we're really going to keep it real,
Tell me.
dun, 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 nobody wants to see an original man and an original woman together. Let's just keep it 100. Nobody wants to see that, including so-called African people. But the funny thing is that when you really look in certain areas, that's all you see. But because we're bombarded every day with alternate images of ourselves, and because I got locks and I'm a man in the modern world, I'm supposed to be with a white woman. I'm supposed to be with Hispanic. I'm supposed to be with exotic. I'm supposed to be with everybody but her. They have almost made it turn our so-called race, or that race, into a situation where it's like we only producing each other to be married off to somebody else. That's sick.
And that is why I feel lucky and blessed, because I do think that, it's like when you get appreciated for who you are. I realize men don't want necessarily women that talk all the time or have opinions about things or that read. And I was really flattered when this man was like, wow. He said to me when we were together one day, he was like, wow, I'm so glad I'm with some smart pussy. And I thought, this is laughing. Like, what is smart pussy though? Is it the fact that I have a good vocabulary? Is the fact that I've made certain... I could have gotten sloppy. I could have hit a certain age where I just was like, oh, every birthday is a different lover, or, that's even a huge judgment on women. I find myself not talking about what I haven't done
Numbers.
or what I do because my numbers are off, in connection with other women. And that's so whack, Billy, oh, so whack, 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 senorita, whack. Because I'm lying. I don't talk around girls. I end up quieting
Why?
because I have nothing in common
What
with
do girls
them.
talk about? What are they talking about?
Coming up off a dick, being flattered, what niggas have dough. Like, real talk, I think that we would have had threesomes if Aseer was just like, money, bitches, money, money.
Yeah.
If he was like spendthrift and had mad dough just to fling, we would have bitches right now. It would be like, oh, who doesn't want to hang out? But because the $1 million question with Celina always was, yo, he's so good to you, but yo, how do you do it?
With no
How are
money,
you with a
he
nigga
broke.
with no? I'm like, he's not totally broke. He's got dough. It's just when you're with someone that has integrity, sometimes the money doesn't come right away.
No, it comes. Not to cut your wisdom, sweetie.
Please,
I don't want to seem like I'm cutting you off.
I love it.
It comes. It's just that how it come to me be like, hey, do this and you'll get that. But the this that they want me to do will negate whatever great will come out of the that I agree to do. So because
It's like you lose your great.
yeah.
You lose the longevity. You might get something in the now, but long term,
Yeah.
it
How am I
doesn't
gonna
stay.
explain this to my
And I was around him when he had certain jobs, and like a year into them, right around teacher conference day or
Tax time.
the day that shit got itchy. So I was really like, wow, I'm really watching him, struggle and make it happen. But the power, it's not always easy. So for me, I always committed and said I'd rather like loyalty, companionship, truth, from like somebody that rode a bike every day rather than a nigga that drove a Maserati or like a Maybach or whatever, because the niggas that do that shit, they got too many options at hand. And it's not everybody that has so many options knows exactly what to choose. And so you end up becoming kind of sloppy to me rather than having 3 things to eat and knowing exactly what your favorite meal is. So, it's kind of how you're raised. I think that I was just raised a little old school, and the old schoolness being you are supposed to somewhat listen, listen. Listening equates submission and being subservient to someone. But I think that because I am a woman in the sense that I'm emotional, quote unquote, what does that mean? It means that if I'm watching a movie and there's a scary part in it, he wanted to watch American Horror Story the other day. I'm watching this shit and I'm scared out my bejesus. I'm like, I can't fucking watch this. She's gonna die, they're gonna die, and it's gonna be some crazy ritual shit. And that might really turn some people on, like scary movies and porn. It doesn't really turn me on. It kind of does the opposite. Like when I'm like thrown imagery of death and destruction, it kind of makes me just be like, let me fade out and look for someplace else.
To the dawn.
Because I already know, and I'm so aware of all of that pedantic, gross reality that I don't want to see it all the time. So that's a good example of just things being different and knowing what your shtick is. Like, I'm just not into stuff like that. But same thing. I'm thankful that I attracted someone that isn't always shutting me up, that will allow me to speak my opinion about stuff. Like, we knew Lupita was gonna win, and I told you Lupita was gonna win.
Thank you.
So, slide bar to that, camera 2. Camera 2, I knew she was gonna win because this is a season for self-hating black women to come up.
The 12 years of the slave.
Not even to focus and concentrate on it, because I'm looking at how many people are like, oh, done. But we're done because it's such a old school concept, and I think that it's somewhat sad that we get rewarded for really polluting the future imagery of how, quote unquote, what we can talk about. There's so many other stories that can be celebrated, but we don't even think of writing them.
Come on,
So
man.
I'm not surprised, but 2 self-hating women. They brought up this other woman that does the self-bleaching cream, Denicia, whatever. From Nigeria, of course. I'm like, all of this comes out of Africa, of course, where there's so much black. How is it that that's when you know it's deeper than where you come from. There's got to be something in the water that really is teaching these women to hate themselves, because that doesn't exist like that over here. You know, it really doesn't. Things like that being turned up all the time, that's exactly what it does. It turns it up and it brings it to a forefront to make it seem as though that's where we all function from. And it's so sad, you know. There were so many light-skinned women in my family, and you know, we joked about it because the jokes in our family was, how brown can you get? How dark can you get under the sun? Let's see, you know, who gets the brownest. And maybe that, you know, on the flip side, had a certain emotional effect on the lighter skinned women in my family. But what it did to me is it made me feel super extra special, and I never had a problem or looked at myself and wanted to be lighter. And that's the next thing that disgusted me. I tell Aseer, I can look at certain, and he's like, yo, how do you, India Irie, you know, this girl Lapita, I said, I can tell when certain women didn't have prayed, please God, make me lighter. Please let me
Kelly
wake up.
Rowland said that.
It's sad.
India Irie said that.
It's not the case.
Oprah said that. What's her name said that?
So I just want to be one brown skin
Come
girl.
on, man. All y'all hate it.
I want to be one brown skin girl that says, I look for clothes that are a little darker than me, that are brown, that are chocolate, mocha, because I love my color.
Right.
I never have woken up, thank God, and have prayed for lighter skin. I have never looked at myself in the mirror and said, you know, life would be so much better if I was lighter. I've never done it. I said, damn, I bet you I'd have gotten that job if I looked like this. I've said shit like that. But then that's when I don't want the job. That's when I'm like, you know what? These niggas.
That's right. That's
because
right.
I cannot imagine being so self-hating that you see someone as a color first and foremost.
That's right.
So for me, I just want to be one that says I've never prayed for it. I've never wanted to be lighter. I've never thought about what my life would like if I had lighter skin. I am very thankful to say that I'm sorry for the women that have experienced it. Something happened when my mom, superior in just really being like, you're so chocolate and beautiful and I love you. And I felt like that from the word. And I really, I mean, thanks. And the same thing, like, don't let people shy you away from talking about things that really mean something to your growth and development. Like even this, when she pointed out there, what else am I going to talk about other than the things that I experience and go through? Like, I don't want my life to be always judging and talking about someone else's experiences. That's why I created my own platform to talk about the things of interest to me.
That's right.
So if it sounds masturbatory, there is a degree of that in this. There's a degree of masturbation in anything that you watch on television. There really is. The same thing. Like, I am sorry that I'd rather watch Quentin Tarantino films any day over than 12 Years a Slave or Tyler Perry movies. I shut off. I don't really go there anymore. So
let's talk about how the director Steve McQueen. First of all, he's named after Steve McQueen, the real Steve McQueen, the white boy from movies like Bullet, Crazy Larry, Dirty Mary, and other joints like that. Anyway, they saying now that this dude, him and Fassbender, who played the head slave master in the joint against Brad Pitt, are allegedly lovers. But they also put out stuff about how he's always, you know, he's only into black women. So it seems to me that this so-called conduit, because that's what they all are. When you look at everybody that's there, all the black people that are in the movie as slaves are with white people. All the white people who were in the movie as slave masters are with black people. So again, where is the resolution of so-called black slavery if we're to agree that it existed in the manner in which that it has been presented to us in all of these films with all of these so-called self-hating so-called black people, like melanated people? That's like you asking me. He said to me in the shower that he's like, yo, think of one movie where we were enslaving or you see projected on screen. And I'm like, well, Hollywood won't do that. The whole trickery is to actually switch it, is to allow us to never think of ourselves as doing anything regal or great. You already know this. And vice versa, for them to always be in a position of grandeur, power, all of that. And
the imbalance comes in when there is no other stories being told.
Right.
So there is a blessing in 2014 that, yes, this sister went that far and was able to, be a voice box for certain electweg types. But even that, why is it always the electweg type? Why can't certain other brown colors be celebrated? Like, yo, all of this is crazy, man. That shit is not...
All of this self-hate that's going on, how come these so-called white celebrities, white women celebrities, are they doing racial context or racial context classes where they're dealing with the psychological trauma that these kids might be going through for the fact that for their whole life they've been treated a certain way by their own people for not being white, then all of a sudden the fairy godmother comes down and brings them out of the hood. Now they're only around other black kids that have had that same experience being white, but they're not around their own culture. They're not going back to the hood. They're like not giving them any way to... They don't even know how to braid these children's hair.
But what I'll say is that they're not putting lace fronts in them as quickly and weaves in them as quickly. So then is that something of negation to say, wow, I've watched certain quote-unquote Caucasian and white women actually teach their little brown-skinned girls, well, I can't do your hair, but I'll read a to-do book on how to take care of black hair. Like, it's sad that a Sandra Bullock type just may raise her melanated child with more, love and reminding them to love themselves than someone that throws their baby that looks like me in the garbage, or discards of them in a wastebasket because they came out with a wide nose or darker complexion. Like people like Lupita and Gabrielle Bouvet and Paula Patton don't have melanated children because even being with someone that wants to have one, if you are a brown-skinned woman that wants to see yourself as a lighter complected being and don't want to have a brown-skinned child, you can give thanks to Yakub. You can have a lighter skinned baby. That is why, even in knowing in my genealogy, in my bloodline, when I was pregnant, I really was like, oh God, please, a beautiful brown skinned, healthy child. Healthy more than anything, but reflect the sun. Reflect beautiful brownness, because that is something that brings me joy, to see my reflection in my offspring. And anybody should want that. Since Asians want to just marry outside their race, we still do see certain phenotypes getting with the same archetype, and that's to be celebrated as well. I'm all down for interracial to a degree if it happens naturally, meaning that someone falls in love with the person, but it rarely does. All of the people that I see, 95% that I see in interracial relationships do compromise, and one of them don't have any association with their family or their other half. One compromises, and when one compromises, that's when I'm like,
guess which one?
Do you know that you still are and can associate, or is this like, not only did you marry into this bloodline, but now you can't even be around your own type without them being of the same? We were out the other day and saw 3 black men with white women, and they all, it was like none of them could even look our direction. And that's okay, but there is something. None of the men. All the women did, but none of the men. Because we know. We already know. This is deeper than a complexion thing. And it's so sad, because I do feel my show, I do feel that it doesn't have to be like that all the time. But if there's no balance, if there's no counter, then what are we gonna hope to aspire to be like?
Whatever they want.
It's like the comedian, the comedian from Atlanta who's married to the sister, and he's like, yo, my kids are darker than Mariah and Nick Cannon.
Exactly.
And I'm a white, and I laughed.
He said, I'm a white boy.
I said,
Nick
yeah,
Cannon's jeans ain't shit.
He said, Nick Cannon jeans ain't shit. I laughed. I said, well, not only is that the case, but we don't know all the other things that might have taken place to get, these twins here. And they're beautiful children, but when they don't look like any one of the parents, like the melanated side, it's just interesting to me that the more dominant gene didn't dominate at all.
But see, when we talk about children,
domination,
we're also talking about the future. So children are the archetype of future occurrences and future happening. So when you take a child and you convince them or convex them into something that
want them to be to fulfill an agenda for yourself, or your society, or whatever, and that agenda is not in tune with love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, then what happens is you wind up producing a child that is going to negate their existence for the sake of something else. And all we see in this country is people giving up their nationality, giving up their soul, debasing themselves, debasing their family, disrespecting themselves, doing anything and almost everything and omnithing to get money, knowing damn well that the money ain't backed by nothing. They print it every day. They burn it every other month. And people are literally killing themselves to fit into this archetype of success that really is only 60, 70, 80, 90, only about 60 years old. This 70 years old. This idea of success that you, the viewer, is being marketed to have, it's not even 60. Your grandmother is older than it. Your great grandmother is older than it. But because the way the wedge has been drawn between the original man and original woman, it has offset everything. And instead of us trying to reconcile and get together, like don't you work out your own problems first before you start going and try to work out somebody else's problem? All I'm watching celebrities do is do stuff for the Jewish Holocaust and for the gay people and for the AIDS.
The gay people, for GLAAD.
For GLAAD, for
Right.
all of these organizations.
He was watching
whatever.
Basketball Wives, and he was like, why is this even a point of interest to these women?
Like,
I said,
she's not
because-
even gay, allegedly. So why are you such an advocate for gay rights? Unless, you see what I'm saying?
Because it's still something to preoccupy ourselves with. It still is a cause that makes me sound like a humanitarian.
But you know how many humanitarian kids in the ghetto need help? Need somebody to advocate for them?
Not
to
as
be
much.
glad for them?
Not as much. Not that's going to make me look super duper fly.
Everyone.
Shit.
That's what I'm trying to say. We're in a situation where they have enacted this slave program, and the slaves have enacted it on themselves. So if you are a melanated being and someone of halfway common sense, you would see that you obviously don't fit into this new idea of what a so-called black person in the millennium is supposed to be, because you're not it. You're not dark enough. Your behind is not big enough. Your breasts are not big enough. Your penis is not long enough. Your
Oh my
skin
gosh,
is
she
not
was
light
telling me
enough.
about these men with the implants. My
Oh yeah,
goodness.
these men getting the penis implants. They're getting their abdomens cut open.
It's so
Take
sad.
a piece of their abdomen out,
Ay, Dito.
cutting the shaft of their penis, putting the abdomen in there, and hopefully the abdomen increases the size, right? But then, if you don't want that, they got an actual crank, like a pump,
I don't want to talk about
like a slinky.
I hear you, but these are the things, you know, that the pressure. Like, there's got to be women that are
Like,
just
come on.
into the intimacy, and I know bitches gonna be like, intimacy, but for real, like, not everybody is shaped like that. Not every man is gonna, you know, lay it down
Not
like
every
that.
woman
But
is gonna
they
be
might
like
have
that.
extreme virility and, you know how to not come right away. You just can be with them for hours and hours. And the opposite happened with the well-endowed individual. So, you know,
You don't know what you're gonna get. You got to know who you are.
And this is why I'm thankful, because, you know, there are certain things that I think naturally women want to experience on their own, and that's okay.
It is.
It's just difficult when there's so many assumptions about sexuality because we don't talk about it. Like, I probably scared 3 quote-unquote friends I thought I had, because rather than accepting their offer, like, one girl came to our crib one day with lingerie, like, yo, I'm ready, let's pop it. Like, whoa. I'm not into girls like that, and even if I was, like, I have to love you. Like, don't we want to talk about who's going to do what first before things get slammed and entered? So, but the pop-off comes with such a pop-off that you don't want to pop off.
You don't
Like,
know what's popping
yo,
off.
you might not think shit is popping because I haven't pop, but shit is so popping that if I bring you in, you might explode, and then I'm known as a pop-offer. They just popped you, and now Celina and Aseer, yo, they run this and they do that. We turn. Just because emotionally we're not taking responsibility for what it is we create on a large scale.
And a lot of times, men and women that are of a certain stat, and this is historical. We as Moorish people, as a
And
people
our
that actually have
sidebar, people are like, well, what makes you more? My birth certificate, my ID,
Or like,
all of that has L on it, turbaned
All of
out, because there's no allergy to who you naturally are if you understand how to be who you naturally are without the debates and the fights and all that other rigmarole. Rather than talk, write, express, create the proper channels for you to be recognized. There is a way to do all of it. And I wasn't born
Correct.
with L on my birth certificate. I made the alteration after, even though I knew Cordoba, even though I was raised as a Moor.
What did our parents do?
Our parents settled. They didn't necessarily know what to do from 21 Jump Street, like when we were in the hospital. They didn't know. So what I chose to do with him is try to educate and help people before their babies come here. So, shout outs to all those that took the plunge, all the babies that have been born free with their, titles of nobility on their birth certificates.
Off the rip.
It's important because it existed. And we always have existed like this. So, it can be annoying when some people don't know. It can sound like I'm trying to sell an agenda, but I don't have to sell something that I naturally am. It's not an allergen. It's like people that know that they're Jewish. They don't feel allergic taking their driver's license with their yarmulke on. So why would I feel weird sitting in the DMV with my turban and my ostrich feather? Because that is who I am, and that is what I want to reflect on things that are quote-unquote commercial, or titles and things that we use to express who we are outside of just being culturally recognized.
Indeed.
So, holla.
This ain't got nothing to do.
It's not deep.
Regardless to what you see other people talking to you about, regardless to what you hear other people saying about, showing you all, they'll show you everything to make you not accept the obvious.
But then you're like, let me see your driver's license.
But then
let me see if that is who you are, then it should reflect who you are in ways that other people recognize.
But to add on to what you're saying, Queen, this is about whatever nationality you are. If you don't want to be Moorish or whatever, you want to be Yoruba, then claim that as a nationality. Do something that distinguishes you other than a piece of property or human capital, according to United States Code 18, Title 18 USC, that got everybody in the country listed as a surety, as a piece of paper, as a piece of cattle. That is not no propaganda. This ain't no sovereign citizen stuff. This is just what it is. You don't believe me? Go and research your boy. The first black president they was marketing to you, this dude Clinton, right? Mr. Bust all over your dress. Go check that dude. Go look at his record. Also, under the same year, they turned the whole country into a battleground. So right now, when you see stuff popping on in your area or whatever, that's because the United States government has listed your community as a battleground against it. That's not what I'm saying. That's what the United States Congress has done. So if you don't like that, you should first find out about it. Don't take our word for it. Assume I'm lying. Assume we're just talking. But go find out yourself. And if you don't like what's being done, you have to understand this is why the children are so militarized. This is why the children are so hypersexual. Because they literally feel they're in a battleground all the time. They never know what's going to happen. So if you want to preserve something for them, one of the best ways to do it is to have a cultural identity that you and your family, right, babe? Yes, you and your family can accept as your own and instill the values that you want that child to have in it, regardless to what's on PlayStation, regardless to what's in the school. You'll be surprised
how much they not only are open, like y'all always just like, wow, I don't want him to go through things. His name is Amor, oh my God. But that's what was divine to me when he was cultivated, when I knew I was going to have a child named Amor, and I knew it was going to be love, and it was going to be his nationality and all of that. So, having him, it's so he has no allergen to what rocking anything cultural, unique.
He want to wear his
He wants to wear
every
his
day.
fez every day. That I'm like, son, you're going to the playground. Like, come on, calm down with it. Chill.
You're not 13 yet.
He's not of age to me to be solely responsible for all the energy that comes with that. But that doesn't mean that I'm not, preparing him. That doesn't mean that I'm making him allergic to things that are outside of the norm. Because now he's watching certain cartoons and he'd be like, yo, mommy, come here, look at the Moor on TV. and he'll point out everybody rocking a turban, and cartoons are now starting to adapt and have more things because we're recognizing that it's like as above, so below. That is really taking place. So, you know, it really depends on your level of involvement and what you're willing to swallow without all the drama. Like I said to him, so many people sometimes want to make it seem as that he's an obstacle to the things I want to do. So even though I have a YouTube page, Celina Cordoba L, it doesn't get flooded like that because I haven't put myself necessarily in the position that he is known for. But that doesn't mean that, you know, it might not. It doesn't mean that I'm less important. I have to not be caught up in those things because I'm never, as a woman that is chosen to be with somebody, I might not ever have my own stream like that. And those are the quiet pressures that are placed on people in relationships to almost like free up from. Or like, well, if we work together, I tell him this all the time. I said, I feel like if I weren't with you, you would be with your kids. And he's like, but what a horrible thing to say, that we have to separate and not have a relationship with one another in order for me to be with my children. I'm like, but it's true.
Now equate that now to an entire race of people who now cannot be with their fathers, cannot be with their real mothers, because the other person that these people had them with want to use the child, turn the child, just like the government did, into the battleground because you don't want to conform or you don't want to do this or do that. So then you wind up conforming, and then now you got to not only deal with the person who's been making it an obstacle to deal with you, but now you got to deal with their other husband or wife, which is now the state, which is now basically turning everybody against each other and trying to milk everybody from everybody. So does that make sense?
No, that's hard rock life.
How come you don't never see Hindus in family court? How come you don't never see Chinese people, Japanese people in family court? How come you don't never see that? How come you never see Indian people like that in family court? How come you never see really? You might see Ashkenazi Jews sometimes.
No,
but not really. How come the only people you really see in family court like that is what? Melanated people who call themselves Hispanic or whatever, and what? And like ultra rich people that's now using that as a guise to do some other shit.
But real talk, I'm really, really real that I've thought about stuff like that. And he's always like, so then that's what it is. I'm always going to be negotiating my happiness to thing. And I'm like, yeah. And so you see why women, sometimes we do need and can benefit from having something that's fixed and that has a strong opinion. It's like, well, I can't, because there's a part of me that's like, well, everything can kind of exist in that nice little colorful section and we can all just get it. He's like, no, we can't. This is it, and this is what it, and I'm like, damn.
Just like if you're a man. Like one thing I know. Awesome.
Go ahead.
One thing I'm understanding too, as a man, as I'm getting older as a man, you know, you can't go through this life and not have no enemy. Not necessarily enemies, but people that don't like. Not everybody's gonna like you as a man, and as a man, you're not supposed to like everybody. If you're one of these people who do that, that means that you're somebody that don't have no real opinion. And anytime a man expresses his opinion the way that a man does, that's gonna bring out tension, especially when that man has been marginalized to a certain section of society, not to have the ability to have an intention or have
the shadows
down, and not have no intention to be heard. So again, now couple that with the fact that here we are, this is 2014, that's the year to them. If we're going by the year of when everything switched up, we're actually in the year 1434 in our calendar.
He does that all the time. I get it after I watch.
Listen to Superhero Radio for the show, and for that stuff. This show is more of a dialogue.
Interactive and dialogue.
You know what I mean? I don't
which
want
I
to get
appreciate.
too
Which I appreciate, because I think there's a time and place for everything.
Word.
And I said if we were going to do stuff visually, it's nice to be visual and free it up a little bit. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity, because we could have really burnt each other out on for the next 15, 20 years by me not acting like certain things happen. And, I don't want to put myself in a box, so to say, that I can't, I become a prisoner to it, rather than realize like, wow, maybe if I communicate what I'm feeling, even though it's embarrassing, even though I feel a way about it, I'd rather be embarrassed like this than destroy what it is I built based on certain fears of how I'm going to be looked at as his partner or whatever. So,
and to add on to what you're saying with that queen, is the same situation. Like, you don't want to. When I accepted my position of what Allah created for me to do in the world, I did it, but I didn't. I accepted it, but when I realized that what it was, I accepted it, but I did not accept it with the condition that I was not gonna be able to do nothing else in my life. That this was all I was gonna be able to do. That once I set up and help erect Moore Science Temple of America 2A, that and now I'm a sheik or grand chairman and this and that, I can't do this or I can't do that, or Moors can't do this or Moors can't do that, that it's not really a lifestyle. No, that's not true, because we're the living proof that that is not. Because everybody that has told me this thing is not real has been black people, but everybody who has validated that is real to us has been white people. So what I'm seeing is that all of the studies
We've
that
gotten a lot of validation from people of color too.
from people of color too, but I mean
in the outside realm in terms of like.
I'm not talking about like our audience.
Yeah, you're talking about state recognition and other type of bureaucratic.
I'm talking about when you be watching these
scenes.
Tapes and people telling you that you don't exist as a Moor and this and that.
It's not real.
The people that's looking and telling you that look like you. But what I'm saying is that
there's something else.
There's something else going on with that, and that you have to be, and that you got to be strong in yourself. To know what your culture is.
And to know what you're listening to.
That's right.
But more than that, I also wanted to give shout outs to everybody that has held us down. Especially, we have a strong support group in Brooklyn. Cats that I went to school like Tyrone, Kajil. I could shout out so many that do look out, that have been around, that have shown so much in love. And
way more love,
you know, Saga, Shawnee, Shardy. I really love y'all, man. Like real talk. And holding and sister down throughout
all the Super Haru listeners that ever sent
all
anything.
All the Super Haru listeners. Edwin,
anybody that's ever came to a lecture we've done.
Ian, Carla, like
everybody who was in New York, who's seen how much work we put in and how much work we put down, and how much we revolutionized the whole thing. And then
without trying to be like
create
center stage,
create some sort of Christ consciousness around us to be able to be put up on pedestal. Nah, don't put us on a pedestal.
Nah, that's
not what's going on.
That's bogus boogies.
Nah,
that's exactly what that is.